All right, welcome back to the 24 podcast, Fox's award-winning. I messed that up again, Mark. This is the unofficial podcast for Fox's award-winning show 24, and so we are getting together today, doing this video, kind of a live stream recording to try to bring together kind of a summary for the whole series for Live Another Day, and so. We have myself and Mark and Joel and Jack, and hopefully all of us will be able to stay connected.
Hey Josh, what's going on? Hey Joe, Mark.
Yeah, it's actually working for me this time.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
All right, so let's just kind of start with kind of overall. What did you think of it, Mark? You there?
Hey,
Hey. So what did you think about the series overall, or the season overall?
are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, I got kicked off for some reason. I don't know what happened. I'm blaming Joel. It's like Joel showed up and then all of a sudden I got kicked off.
That's what happens.
That's true. So the series overall, man, I felt like I was worried about how it would go with it being shorter, and actually, I felt like they went really well. I didn't think they'd be able to cram as much in as they usually did, and obviously they didn't. But it seemed like 24, and I think that was everybody's real big concern was, will this be like the 24 we know and love? And in my opinion, I think it was. I think it hit that bar, and I think it was good. So that's my basic opinion.
How about you, Joel? What did you think?
I liked it better toward the end, as I did in the beginning. I guess it took a little while for to really get going. But I think once Jack got put back into the field, I think that's when things started to pick up a little bit. But it'd been off the air for 4 years, so I guess it took a little while for them to get back into the swing of things. But I think around episode 4 and 5, I think that's when things started to pick up, and it started to feel a little bit more like 24.
Yeah, I think so. It was a little strange there. The very first episode, I mean, we didn't even see him, or at least he didn't say anything until the end of the episode. And so there was a lot of this focus on the other characters, especially during the first part. So it kind of took off a little bit slower than usual. What was your take on it, Jack?
You know, it's funny. I pretty much totally was thinking the same thing that Joel was. After the first two episodes, which they were pretty they were pretty standard for a 24 opener. There was some good action. It started introducing the little subplot and stuff like that. But I feel like if like episode 3, 4, and 5, or maybe it was just 3 and 4. It was just, it was setting up, obviously, everything and setting up the whole season. And I kind of did feel like Jack wasn't doing too much. It was kind of going, in the slow direction. But then it just, like, flipped the switch, and it was just so much fun from the rest of the season on. And I think that as a whole, it definitely had the 24 feel to it. I think bringing in old characters definitely helped that. And we knew it was going to be, Chloe, Audrey, and Heller, and then you add also Chang, and that even made it more, felt like more of the old days of 24. But I think that the 12, of course I would always love 24 episodes, but the 12 episodes, it definitely worked. It kept it even more contained, and there was able to be, maybe cutting out the episodes where Jack is just driving somewhere, or Kim is, facing off against a cougar. But other than that, and I'm sure we'll get to it, I think that the time jump was probably one of the very, very, very few things that I still don't know if I liked how they did it. But other than that, I mean, how can you, if you're a true 24 fan, how can you not be happy with not only that it came back, but that it came back and pretty much did not disappoint?
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it seems like they, for as much as they like played up this whole time jump thing, they didn't really use it at all. I mean,
Yeah.
they just basically used it to be like a, like they did with the prequels for the seasons. That's really what that was. It was just
Well,
that, like kind of a thing.
the thing that Howard Gordon and a couple of the other writers are saying, which I definitely can understand, is it's never like if 24 was just the only character you ever saw and the only plot line that you were following was just, let's say, Jack, then it'd be easy to jump around. But I guess what he was saying was it's hard if you have Jack, that storyline jump ahead 4 hours, but the Mark president storyline kind of has to stay where it is, or then you have the Chloe Adrian storyline. He said that it's how it would be a little too convenient, I think, to have all 3 or 4 subplots advance at the same time. I'm not sure if that was just kind of a cop out after. Yeah, they were talking up the time jump almost as much as they were talking up the return of like all these old characters, and they used it just to get to that 24th hour, and that was
Right.
it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I think, but it, and maybe they didn't do it. Maybe all the fans just took it to the extreme. But I mean, everybody's like, oh yeah, they can. They're not going to stick to the format. So now this whole thing's going to be over, 3 weeks, and we're going to be jumping around like crazy. And then we find out that they jump around right at the end for the last, 5 minutes of the entire episode.
There's an easy way around all this. I mean, there's 24 hours. There's 24 hours and 12 episodes, right?
Right.
So why not have every episode take place over 2 hours? That way you ain't got to take too big of a jump or take storylines in too big of a direction at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that is a decent idea. When I saw that the last episode said, it was going to span 12 hours, of course I thought, oh wow, I guess, somehow either, we all thought Jack could have been going back to LA at the end to be with his family, or maybe he does have to go to China because the Chang threat wasn't done, or maybe he is going to go to Russia and I guess with the filming in London, and maybe they didn't want to get away from that whole thing. It was funny where, I mean, besides fast forwarding until those last 10 minutes, and it was just to wrap up some storyline. So instead of seeing Kate put down her badge and her gun 5 minutes after everything happens, like we normally have seen on 24, she did it 10 hours later. I mean, it wasn't like we saw a Mark at a trial. We just saw a Mark in a holding cell saying, you're being transported back. So I think that could have happened, 5 minutes after, just like they always did in the 24th episode of the season. So I think it was, I thought they were definitely going to be jumping around. I know for the movie they had discussed, it would be so fun, Jack jumping around Europe and stuff like that. But you know what? This was their first experience with it. So maybe if it does come back, they'll have they'll have more of an idea on how to use the freedom of a time jump.
Mm-hmm. I thought it went well, though. I was okay with the way they did the, not really moving it around much. I think that kind of added to it feeling like old 24 too.
Yeah, definitely.
I was noticing too, real quick, sorry, that I heard a lot of people comment, "Wow, Jack's looking really old," and then I saw the pictures from Comic-Con, and that was totally just makeup and whatnot. I mean, he looked way older in the show than he looks in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, he is getting older, I guess, but yeah, he doesn't look nearly that old in real life.
Yeah. Well, they say that TV, adds like 10 pounds in so many years or something like that. I don't know. So.
Right.
But let's transition into some of the characters, and so we've had obviously several old characters come back, but we had obviously
not the ones I wanted.
Sorry?
I said not the ones I wanted.
Yeah, I know, bummer. But I put a tweet out, so hopefully we'll get some more responses from that. What you guys were thinking of yours. Got a response here from Sue Lee, which is at SueKLee88, and she said that hers was Kate. as far as her favorite character, and so definitely a good one. What was yours there, Joel?
I
Favorite
really, I really,
character?
I really like Kate. I wrote a blog, when 24 first came back after the first couple episodes, that I thought Kate could potentially be the new Jack Bauer because she has some of the same tendencies, and you could tell in the first couple episodes that her and Jack are kind of the similarities from Kate now and Jack in season one are kind of prevalent. And I thought, at the last episode when Kate took her badge and her gun and put it on the table, reminded me a lot of Renee Walker after season 7, when she was getting ready to interrogate Wilson, and she took her badge and her gun and put it on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it kind of reminded me, after Terry died in season 1, Jack kind of left CTU and didn't want anything to do with it. And it kind of reminded me of that Kate was just, and she didn't want anything to do with the CIA or, anything of that nature. So I think she had the most character development. I liked Eric too, even though he was less of a central character later on in the season as Jack became more prominent.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kate really, out of all the new characters, I think she's the one that took the biggest step forward throughout the season.
How about you, Jack? Which one was your favorite new character?
I'm gonna have to go away from the main cast characters because of course they always, since they're in the main cast and they're these accomplished known actors, they're gonna get a lot of the plot and the screen time. But I would say, because I don't really know if it's been done before in 24 where such a minor character has made such a fan favorite impact, but I would definitely say Belchek.
Yeah.
I think the mysteriousness of not knowing too much about his background, knowing he was in the Serbian mob and Jack saved his life, or we don't know why he was hanging out with the Serbian mob, but I think that he was definitely a very interesting character to kind of have a mysterious take on it. And then I would say for a more well-known character and for the great job she did acting, I mean, I think that Margot was definitely a welcome addition to the 24 villains alumni group. I mean, just to talk about her shortly, I mean, I don't really know if we've had a villain before where they're okay with chopping off their own child's finger or trying to blast the hospital their child is in with drones, ready to shoot her son at the very end when he was kind of disobeying her right before Jack threw them out the window. So I think that she was just a different type of villain, a very driven one, unlike I mean, look, Steven Saunders in season 3, he was very driven, but you feel he's the typical bad guy or person where when Jack was about to put his daughter into the tunnel with the virus, he caved and gave them their information. So I think it was definitely a nice twist to have her so demented, and it definitely added to her character. So I would say that I mean I enjoyed a lot of the characters this season, but those two probably held my attention the best.
Yeah, we got a couple more responses here on Twitter, and so we have Irene Svensson, which is at Note Irene. She agrees with Kate being her favorite. We also had Bradley Adams, which is at Bradley_STV. And so he says, Kate was great, but Mark was my favorite character. He liked the ambiguity as to whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. And so So yeah, so kind of agreeing
Yeah.
here. And then we have Anne, which is at September 2001. That says Belichick. And so so kind of reiterating the things that we picked up there. I think there's probably a trend there. What would you say, Mark?
Yeah, it seems like there's certainly a trend, and I think I missed part of the conversation. Apparently, I'm the one that get kicked off today, but um, I completely agree. It's for whatever reason, like Jack said, Belichick really caught everybody's attention, and I think it's for the same reasons. There's a lot of mystery there. There's a lot of wondering where he came from and if he'll be back again. But I really liked. Oh, I just lost it. What am I thinking here? Totally
No
lost
one
my train
knows.
of thought. No one knows. Yep.
Well, the other thing, Mark, that just to, while you gather your thought for a second, I think the other thing that was huge about Belichick was, I don't care who it is or what their affiliation or background is. If you put a character that shows that much loyalty to Jack, he's going to be an instant fan favorite.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
true.
Well, I got my thought back. I was agreeing with the fact that I really liked Mark, and I didn't think I would when I started the show, but I really did like him, and I kept going back and forth. It was that same like the person you quoted there, Josh, that there was that ambiguity of, well, is he really a bad guy? And 24 is great at doing that. There's so many people, and it seems like they're always the chief of staff. I don't know why, but it seems like it's always the chief of staff that were like, are they a good guy or are they a bad guy? But I think Mark, more than many of them, danced with that line. But I didn't. By the end of the show, I didn't really look at him as being a bad guy. I looked at him as making some bad decisions. And I don't know if it was because of the obvious love and respect that he had for the president. I think maybe that was the difference. But by the end of it, I almost felt bad for him. Not quite, because he did sell Jack down the river, or try to. But you almost felt bad for him at the end when he's asking about Heller and if Heller's okay, and doing all those things. It was he really did turn out to be one of my favorite characters, and I think without that dynamic of him and Jack, I don't think LAD would have been what it was.
The one regret that I have about the finale is that after Audrey died, we never got to see Audrey's reaction to Mark selling Jack down the river.
Yeah.
We never got to see Jack and Kate after Kate had lost Audrey.
Right.
I pictured Jack saying something like, it's not your fault, you did your best, or something like that. We never got that confrontation.
Right.
Mhm.
So if I had one regret about the finale, it's that we didn't really tie up those two loose ends.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, discussing, how it was great to have Jack and the Heller relationship. I mean, yeah, you guys are right, and it's what both of you are speaking about. I think that when 24 is at its best, sure, it has the action and the great Jack lines and scenes, but it's personal between the characters. That's what makes it so great. That was what season 1 was about. Season 8, the last half of it was fueled by Jack. The Renee death was very personal to him. How about season 5 when Michelle and Tony and David Palmer were killed? And I think that was definitely a huge way to not only get the people back into 24 to watch this season because of the old characters, but it made it more personal. And I think that that's always what makes it so and Chang, I think that's what makes it resonate with the fans even more.
Well, I think Chang coming back was the big big surprise of the entire series, or the entire season.
I'm really happy that they kept that. I know Joel had written something that he saw a rumor about it, but there's so many rumors out there that you can't believe it 100%. But I'm happy that really didn't that didn't really leak out, because that was when he came through that door, when all those people were dead in Adrian's group. That was a great scene.
I was cheering. I never thought I'd cheer for Chang, but I was pretty excited.
Yeah, cheering for a villain. Yeah.
But to be fair, I was cheering at the end of at the exit of his exit from the series as well. So
Yes.
But in terms of in terms of Mark, I think compared to, you're right, not only other chief of staffs, but also other characters in general, for the most part, they're either on the side of good or they're on the side of bad. I mean, there's really not many characters that they have in that gray, in that middle, and I think that they did such a good job with that. It was a believable reason. His wife, who had been, I mean, it's one thing if your wife gets like, I don't know, like robbed or mugged. I mean, that's horrible, but to be put in a catatonic state for 3 years, and after she was being tortured by a Chinese terrorist, he felt he was killing two birds with one stone. He never thought he was doing a bad thing. He thought he was serving his wife and serving the president. And I think that they did and also the actor Tate Donovan, he was great. But I think that they did an awesome job with him.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. I really didn't think I'd like him at first. They kind of led you to not like him.
You just like him because he has your name.
Well, that doesn't hurt, Jack. That does not hurt at all.
I think all of us except Joel has had a character with our name. I think that they have to come back for season 10 just to make Jack's partner Joel something. Maybe Joel Wood.
No, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be his partner. It's gonna be the villain of the series.
Oh, he's gonna be the villain. He'll be the arch nemesis now, the new one.
No, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be a copycat of Tony. That's what it's gonna be.
Right. He'll try to grow out like the soul patch, but he really can't do it. It's kind of straggly.
No, we're gonna find out after all these years. We're gonna find out that Tony Almeida's real middle name was Joel.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jack is gonna come across a lead and is like, Joel Almeida has broken out of prison and is hurting people. He'll be like,
That's right.
Tony never told me he had a twin brother.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of that, we should discuss that a little bit, because I know that's the big what's going to happen with the DVD is they have what happens to Tony. So, I mean, what are some of the predictions? What do we think?
Well, I'm not sure. I know before Joel, you got on, we were discussing who was kind of following that panel yesterday at Comic-Con, and I was following all the tweets from it. Pretty much Fox released a press release that said, confirming, not confirming Tony is in this, but they said all the bonus features that would be on it, and all the other ones were like behind the scenes and production and blooper reels and stuff like that. So it's called 24 Solitary. That's actually the name of this feature that they're calling it, and they're calling it a what do they call it? A season extender. So yeah, I thought it was just going to be this like thing to appease the fans, like a completely separate. Maybe it's a different year, different month. Maybe it was before LAD even started, just like a little thing with Tony. But when they're saying season extender, that makes me think that
it's gonna be like an hour or something.
Yeah. Who knows if it's that long, and maybe if it's something where, with news of, because they were, you remember they were changing the finale so many times. The actresses that played Chloe and Kate were saying that maybe due to the ratings, hopefully, maybe here, knowing that Jack was going to get taken by the Russians, maybe it picks up like the hour right after the helicopter takes off, and somehow somebody puts a call in to Tony or something like that. So we have confirmation that Tony is in the DVD, and of course it has to be this, because I was going through all the other things and it didn't say anything. He wouldn't be in a. One thing was like how they were going green with the filming, and the other thing was a blooper reel. The other thing was how the drones and the and some other thing that they were like the drones were in real life and it was in the show. So all of that stuff I ruled out with being with Tony. So it's this season extender, what they're talking about, and I was kind of happy to hear that, because I was thinking, they're going to do like a 7-minute scene and that's it. But if this is like 30 minutes or something like that, I think it would be pretty cool.
Well, and if you get locked up in prison, the prisoners that they keep away from everybody else, they keep in solitary confinement.
Right.
Right. That was the other thing. When you think of prison, you think of that word solitary. So that's why I'm like, oh, this is definitely the Tony thing.
And I'm pretty sure Tony's one of the prisoners that they keep away from everybody else.
Yeah. You kind of deserve that, I guess.
Well, I think the purpose for this, let's be quite honest, is to sell DVD sets.
Without a doubt. And let me just make one note about that. Unfortunately,
And it'll work.
It's only going to be on the Blu-ray, which kind of ticked me off because I do have a Blu-ray player in my house, but like I only like buying DVDs because then if I'm like away somewhere, a DVD can always play on my laptop and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, oh, now I have to buy that the Blu-ray just to be able to see that, But I'm sure someone's gonna upload it to the internet.
Will it be like the Blu-rays where they have the Blu-ray but they also have the DVD version too on it?
Yeah,
or?
if I'm not sure, but if that's the case,
digital?
then I wouldn't mind because if it comes with both, then that's fine. But I don't know. It kind of said like, here are all the features that are going to be on both, and then it goes, then just for the Blu-ray, as they're hearing the cash register go in and out.
That's right.
Cha-ching, hashtag cha-ching.
That's right.
They said that that's only going to be on the Blu-ray. So I saw a couple of fans were were tweeting at like that Twitter account 24 Spoilers. They were the one that kind of broke the news of this whole solitary season extender thing, and they were saying that it's completely ridiculous. Most people just buy the DVD. So whatever. If it's 30 minutes of Tony, I'll shell out a couple extra bucks if that's the only way I'm going to be able to see it. Or rent it or something.
Right. That's interesting.
Hey, let me break in here real quick.
No, you're not allowed. Sorry.
Well, I could end this right now. All right. No,
I'm gonna end the whole thing.
No, Bradley Adams chimed in on Twitter. He must be watching us live, so thank you for watching, Bradley. He says there was a Joel in day 8. And so Joel was the doctor that was...
Oh, that's right!
The Russian brother.
When he got the radiation poisoning. I don't know why, like, all of a sudden remembering that, but yeah, and then he got killed.
Yes.
So, sorry, Joel.
Yeah, his death date was day 8 at 9:43 p.m.
And that was from Bradley? Good job, Bradley.
Yes, he was shot by Andre, so...
Very nicely done. All right, so there we go.
I also put out a tweet there asking, what do you wish happened on 24 LAD that didn't? And there was Abby, which is at Abby DL Cruz, that says that she wished that Audrey lived instead of
somebody
dying.
had that.
And then
somebody had died.
and then they also said that Jack and Audrey would end up together. So that would have
been too easy.
Yeah.
It's not a 24 ending.
Right. That's too happy. We can't have that.
Sorry, we can't have Jack smiling.
That's right.
He was kind of smiling there as he was taken by the Russians.
That was kind of interesting. That little smile he did. I think it was mainly because this is just in his nature. It's in his blood to save people and especially save his friends. So when he saw that Chloe was getting in the car with Belchak, he was just, I think, smiling that, wow, I was able to save my friend, and I don't really care what happens to me next.
Well, and I'd like to observe that I think he's the only person in the history probably of the world to be, taken into what is surely going to be torturous circumstances and still be threatening his captors.
Yes.
That was such a Jack line. You gotta think that the entire helicopter ride, that Russian guy sitting there thinking, what would he have done if we had killed him? What did he have in mind?
Speaking of that, another little tidbit I wanted to share from that 24 panel. It came straight from Kiefer, as we're on the topic of the helicopter. He said that they were, of course, contemplating many different endings. They thought of everything, and ones with no one being safe, including Jack, where he.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Did we just lose him?
think we lost a mid-sentence.
You know what? That's what he gets for mentioning Jack not being saved. I'm just saying. You mentioned Jack dying, and you're off. That's just the end of it.
That's automatic cut off from the podcast.
Yes. Yeah, I had to pull some strings there to take care of.
We won't even discuss that possibility. Okay?
That's right. We're not even going to stand for that. As far as people wishing that Audrey didn't die, it's one of those things that I don't think that I totally expected it, but I wasn't surprised at all.
Hey, you guys there?
It just fit. I mean, it worked. Hey, it looks like he's back.
Yeah.
Jack, are you back?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you heard what I said.
Jack, are you there?
They cut off about halfway.
Well, he was just saying that Kiefer thought it would have been cool if the writers, shot him down. But if he, as the helicopter is taking off right before the camera ends the show, Jack pulls out the pin of a grenade on the helicopter.
Yeah, I could have seen that. I would have expected that.
Typical Jack. But you know
that's
what?
That's the way to go. If
they're not going to kill him because I feel like there is a future. What the heck is that noise?
All right, who went outside?
Yes, he's going outside.
Jack, when you left for a second, just so you know, we discussed the fact that you mentioned Jack dying, and that's when you were cut off. So just let that be a lesson to you.
Yes, sorry, 24 gods. I will never do that again.
Hey, we got
what else? Did you get anything else? Did you get another one? A response?
Yeah, I did. We got something that we've already talked about, but they wish that Tony showed up. This is M@MCutcha13. Wish that Tony showed up, and then also that Aaron Pierce would make an appearance.
That would have been awesome. I would have loved to have seen Aaron back.
Well, it would be cool if Aaron Pierce broke out Tony and then showed up.
There you go.
There you go.
That would have been pretty cool. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else didn't happen that I would have liked to have happened. I don't know. I thought they did a very good job, and we had some ideas of which way it might go, and it was, certainly different than we expected. But I don't think there was a lot that I would have wanted that didn't happen.
I thought it was an interesting bait and switch on their part because everybody assumed that President Heller was going to be the one that died, the one that bit the bullet,
right?
And then it turned out to be Audrey. So I thought that was a good way to, because it would have been too easy and too obvious for President Heller to be the one that died based on his condition.
Right.
So I thought it was interesting for them to, switch it up like that at the end.
Well, and I just want to give credit to Joel that he did call that when Heller was supposedly killed. He was the first one I saw that called that he had not actually died.
Yes, everybody was running me down.
Yes.
For even suggesting that President Heller didn't die.
You were doing the happy dance, weren't you, when we found out that he hadn't died?
I really was. I was doing my little jig in the living room.
Yes, good thing we don't got that video.
That's right.
I want to hear more about Joel having his own limousine.
That's right.
What's up with that? We never got an invitation.
That's right.
That's coming in the 24 podcast blooper reel.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yes.
You were right.
So, I know, Josh, you and I have talked about it, but we should probably talk about the likelihood of another season. What does everybody think?
Well, I would say that I think there's something. I think that the biggest tell is that that they had to change the ending. I really do think there was something about halfway through the season, maybe 3/4 of the way, let's say after episode 9 or 10, because I think they what is it? I think they no, this is different than every other season because they finished production and filming and everything before the season had aired. So I'm not maybe it didn't play into it, but if they had so many different endings that they change. Maybe, you know, the one that they originally had was, you know, had the absolute most closure, and it was not left open to another season. But one, I mean, Jack, same thing like the end of season 5. You know, Jack's being taken away by, you know, the villains, and you know who see him being rescued and broken out or whatever. So I think with that, and also the other thing that was posted on 24spoilers.com was, I think Fox is getting a new head of the network or something like that, where this guy, I forget his name, but he was quoted as saying, "We're very pleased with Live Another Day. It did very well. The fans loved it. I loved it." He's apparently this huge 24 fan, which helps, of course. And he said that there are plenty of stories left to tell in the 24 universe. So, you know, that may include Jack. It may not include Jack. But I would think that, you know, it has a more than 50 chance of returning. And I think with going to Comic-Con, doing more PR and publicity, putting the Tony thing on the DVD, I think all of this kind of, you know, tries to just get the fans more involved. You know, they're coming out with that novel that is going to take place and shows what Jack was doing before, I mean, between season 8 and season 9. So I think they're doing a lot of things to kind of, you know, reinvigorate the franchise. And I would say it may not be next year, it may not be 2 years from now, it could be, maybe it's like an every 2 or 3 year thing, kind of like how this one was off the air for 4 years. But I think that there's a decent chance that it comes back. What about you guys?
What do you think, Joel?
I think there's a 75% chance that it comes back. And before, about halfway through the season, I would have put it at more like, you know, 40 to 50% chance. But as the season went on, my chances of it coming back went higher because of the amount of stories that they did not have a chance to wrap up. Like, 24 is not going to end with Jack going to Moscow. I'm sorry.
No. You don't win that way. Jack
Right.
It's going to end with either him on the run or him back in Los Angeles.
Right.
So I think that...
Right, with him being free, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, with him being free to do what he wants.
Right, whether that is on the run or with his family. I just don't think the most iconic member of the show, the you know, the character of the show, and even on television history over the last, you know, 12 years, you could just have him being captured by these awful people and never see him again.
I agree. Josh, what do you think? What's your odds?
Yeah, whenever we did I think it was the last episode we did, Mark, and I gave it a 50-50, but I'm probably up at about 60% now of another season. And so I'm a little more hopeful now that the kind of things that started to settle and things like that. So I think it's a better chance, but I don't know. I definitely can't say that I'm at 75% like Joel is, but yeah, so I think there's a decent chance. I read
that article about Fox's CEO talking about 24, and he said that discussions for a new season haven't started yet, but that he plans to sit down with the producers and discuss another season.
Well, it would be nice if they started discussing it not just for another season, but to say, hey, we're gonna go ahead and do 3 or something like that. We're gonna sign a contract for 3 seasons.
You're just never happy, are you, Josh? You always have to go for more.
Yes.
Always have to have his cake and eat it too.
That's right.
That's right.
You know, I'm pretty much in the same spot you guys are. You know, as far as the season going forward, I remember I read an interview with John Cassar, and he basically said we left it in a place where we could leave it or it could come back, and that's the way I look at it too. You know, I'm happy with it either way. You know, I would be happy if this was the last season of 24. I think they did a great job, but they certainly, you know, like we've said, they've left enough things open that it's certainly could go for another season, and certainly that would make me happy as well.
I will not be happy.
Well, we know you won't. You won't be happy unless Tony comes back. So
exactly.
Yes.
24 is not allowed to go off the air until Tony Almeida returns.
You know, I'm probably I'm somewhere between the 50 and 75, probably leaning closer to 75. You know, I just look at the fact that, you know, it's one of the most successful TV franchises. So purely from a marketing and a sales standpoint, I think Fox would want it to continue because, as we found out from the final numbers, I mean, its numbers were as strong as ever.
Yes,
You know,
and especially during the summer broadcasting.
right. Yeah, they didn't lose a step. I know that was the big thing at the beginning. Oh, they're not getting the amount of viewers that they were, and it's like, well, yeah, but we have DVR and Hulu and everything else now that they didn't have
Right.
before. So, you know,
Streaming. Yep.
I think just from a monetary standpoint, I think Fox, and I think that's probably part of what Fox's CEO is looking at. Certainly he's a fan and certainly wants to come back for that reason, but I think he's probably looking at it from a matter of, you know, there's a lot of fans that love this show. You know, and so then the negotiation is going to be with the producers. How do we be true to 24 and not just, you know, run it into the ground? But, you know, the people that say that it can't continue, I mean, come on, let's look at how many James Bond movies there are. I mean that
There's
franchise.
always other stories to
Yeah,
tell.
that franchise has gone on for, you know, years and years and years. I certainly think it's a franchise that could go the way of 20 or of 007, where, you know, maybe you have somebody else playing Kiefer Sutherland or playing Jack Bauer at some point, or maybe you follow some other storylines. I mean, you can follow all sorts of storylines.
Look at TV shows like NCIS. That thing has been around for like almost 15 years.
Right.
Okay, so it's possible for a TV show in this day and age to stay around that long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to comment on what you said, Mark, about like I just think the character of Jack compared to James Bond, where you could have a different actor playing, I just think, I don't know, I know James Bond is so iconic, and I'm sure people are like, oh, how could someone else do it after Sean Connery, but it was still good and it still lived on. Maybe just as respect to how good Kiefer was, I don't want to see anybody else play him. Now, with that being said, if Kiefer doesn't want to do it anymore, if he's feeling he's getting too old or he's just done with this, I mean, it's been like a huge chunk of, I think he said it's like been a quarter of his life playing this character, then I'm definitely okay with, you know what, why can't 24 have a 12-episode series of, maybe not even after LAD, but just showing like Kate's, I don't know, first mission when she joins the CIA, or like little things like that. I think can be told in the 24 universe. Like, you know, it would be great, of course, if, I mean, I know, you know, the actors have aged, but imagine if we were able to see like, you know, when Jack first joined CTU back then, or, you know, in between, you know, so-and-so season and so-and-so season, what he was doing, or Tony and Nina when they first joined. And, I mean, all that stuff would be great. I know it would be kind of hard because the actors are 10 years older now, but I think that, you know, if there's not going to be something where it's, you know, chronologically after season 9, which I think there's a good chance there will be, I would love to see little you know, little seasons like that.
Well, I think, you know, if you're 5 years from now or so, I think you could get different actors and probably do like a prequel to 24. And have somebody else playing Jack. I think it's been long enough. You know, I think, you know, you look, and that's really what they do with a lot of these shows. I mean, you had Star Wars, and then it was like, what, 30 years later that they did a prequel.
You know what? I was going to mention Star Wars. That's funny, you know, that you say that.
After it's been a while, I think everybody would be fine. And I think you could write a storyline that would be compelling. And quite honestly, I mean, let's be honest, guys. I mean, it's been going on long enough that 5 years from now, you're going to have a totally different group of people that would be watching that show than us growing up with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that I think that's certainly a possibility. I like Josh's idea that he had, and I think Josh, you shared it on the last episode of the podcast, where, you know, maybe you have some if Kiefer doesn't want to be a big part of it, where they're trying to get him out of Moscow, and you have, you know, a Belchek. And
I forgot to talk about that, but Josh, I got to give you
that's a killer idea
for that. I think that would be great. Where it's I don't remember your your parameters of it exactly, but is it something where you see the group, whether it's like a Chloe, Kate, Belchek, maybe Tony, Aaron Pierce, whoever you want to throw in there, maybe a new character just to change it, just to keep it fresh. And where they're in Moscow, they're following leads. You know, it's like he's in this ultra top secret location where nobody except 3 Russians in the whole country know where he is. And then the last episode is where is the only time you see Kiefer, and it's when they break him out.
I think it's a great
Yeah,
idea.
that could work. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think maybe you throw in
I
like
wasn't
a
sure if
Cole.
that was your idea, Josh. I kind of forgot about it, but I know that was the general thinking.
I think you could throw in like a Cole or something too.
Oh yeah, Cole.
Yeah.
I mean, Chase is still out there. You know, of
Yeah,
the
he is.
few living characters. You know.
That's right. That's right. We gotta find somebody
There's-
still alive.
Yeah, there's not that many of them, so that's why it's nice they have Belchek
Right.
and Kate just to kind of add a couple more. You know.
Well, and I think the neat thing about that is they could do that, and they could still have Jack Bauer in it, and they could kind of feel out how 24 fans would be with maybe a 24 franchise that didn't have Jack Bauer in it. You know,
Yeah.
to feel out how it would be if Kate's the lead character, or if Belchek takes a bigger role.
Yeah, I mean, what about this idea, guys? I mean, yeah, if you could have stories where Jack is, of course we love him, and he's such a American icon now in terms of fiction and television. But what about if it's something like he can't be in all of them, and there's this plot or thread or something where this, like, the worst gang in America has information in it, and to the initiation into the gang is just awful, and it's like 12 episodes or something like that where the president allows Tony to leave prison temporarily to do this as to kind of make his name better, repay his country, and it's Tony is the main Carlos Bernard is the main character that season, and like something along those lines. I think with strong characters remaining like Kate, Chloe, and even Tony, I don't think it has to be 100% on Kiefer. And since it's such a demanding show, I mean, look, they had to live in London for 6 months. I mean, that's half a year of your life where you had to. I'm not saying they're complaining. It's a pretty awesome job and everything, but handsomely paid as well. But I think that Kiefer is not going to do 4 more Live Another Days. It's too much. But maybe if you tell him, oh, we just need you for 2 episodes, would you be interested in that? I think that is how you continue it. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting, and I just want to throw this out, guys. I mean, if somebody would have approached you at season 8 and said, well, I think 24 might continue without Jack Bauer, would any of us been okay with that?
I actually would have.
Okay. I think most people would have said no.
Yeah,
and
I think that is definitely the general consensus, and it would be hard, and I would definitely be missing him. But I don't know. There's still something that I still am in love with the real-time format. All the other shows that I watch, none of them have that where there's that edge of your seat, pulse-pounding deadline that they have to go through, and there's so many other memorable characters they create on this show that I could see him either making a cameo or just even being referenced, and then maybe he comes back another 2 years after Kiefer has, rejuvenated or whatever.
Well, and my point in saying that is I think that's a huge, I guess, nod to the writers and the producers.
Oh, okay.
The way that they've pivoted with 24 LAD to where I think most fans now would be okay moving forward only seeing a Jack Bauer like 1 episode or not at all and following some other storylines, whereas I don't think that would have been the case 4 years ago. I think that would have been, everybody would have been up in arms. So I think that's a huge props to John Cassar
Right.
and the others, Howard Gordon for, the way that that's pivoted to where they really, it's almost like they have this idea of, okay, we really can make this into a franchise that goes on for quite some time.
Maybe that was the biggest thing that Live Another Day did,
Yeah, and if so, I think it was a huge success.
Good point.
If you remember correctly, Jack Bauer wasn't really that prominent of a character through like the first 4 episodes.
That's true. Yeah.
Like the first 4 episodes, he spent most
You're
of
right.
his time. He spent most of his time either talking to Chloe, trying to find out where this Yates guy was, or in the presidential residence waiting to speak to President Heller. So for the first 4 episodes, Jack wasn't really that prominent of a character.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they went on the hunt for Margot that Jack Bauer really started to make a presence throughout the season.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. Well, I think we need to go ahead and start wrapping it up. And so I think we had a lot of good discussions. And there's obviously, we could probably go on for hours discussing a whole bunch of different things. And so maybe we'll be able to come back again to be able to discuss some more things, maybe as some more is revealed as far as the future of 24.
We should make this like a once a month thing, even without.
Yeah,
24.
right.
Yeah, we could try that.
Well, you know what? I think we definitely have to do another one because there are, I'm not sure if there will be TV seasons coming back, but two pretty big things that would be fun to discuss is, August 5th, I'm just checking online now, August 5th is when that novel that takes place between day 8 and day 9 happens. So if maybe a month after that, if someone finishes
We do a book
reading
club.
it, and we could kind of discuss that. And then also, they just announced yesterday at that panel that the DVD and the Blu-ray have that Tony, of course, has talked about. The DVD Blu-ray comes out September 30th.
Nice. That sounds like
Right.
once a month to me.
Yeah.
End
Yeah,
of August, end of September kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we definitely got to talk about it. Right, Joel?
I don't know, Mark. I don't know if I can do this once a month. Your head is kind of blinding me a little bit.
Is that good? You like that? I shaved this morning just for you, Joel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we definitely want to continue, and also thinking about some of the things that we're going to continue. We have a new website up. Several have already gone there and signed up for notifications.
Nice.
Go to 24faithful.com. And so in the last episode, Mark and I discussed the possibility of doing some sort of fan fiction. And so we still don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But we tossed out a couple ideas with that. And so several people showed interest in that, so we started putting some things together. And I think we got 10 or 12 people in a day or so that signed up to get email notification whenever we start moving forward with that.
Nice.
And so that's definitely open. And so the more people we get involved, I think the better we can be able to make it. And so, of course, again, like I said, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. And so if we get too many people, we're not going to be able to do like an individual that writes a certain part, but we're going to have some collaboration of some sort. And so we'll kind of figure it out, and so go from there. We're going to try to put together some different products and things like that we're going to make available, and so several different things that are kind of in the works. And so
I think I was just gonna throw this out. I thought of this the other day. You remember those choose your own adventure books?
yeah,
Oh,
Wouldn't it
yeah.
be awesome if there was a 24 one of those where it's Jack approaches the terrorist. He either tortures them or lets them go or offers to buy them coffee. And there's a different storyline for each one.
Or offers to have a meal with them because he hasn't eaten in 9 seasons.
That's right.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
That
so-
guy's got to be kind of hungry.
I think that's why there's 18 months in between each one. He's got to
Yeah,
go
right,
through
exactly. Yeah, he fattens up, he eats
That's
all this
right.
stuff, and then he goes on this crazy
right.
diet workout plan to get ready to beat terrorists.
stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But anyway,
just
so-
in closing here, Josh, I just want to say, thank you to Jack and Joel. I mean, it's been so much fun, getting to know both of you and discussing 24 and having a good time. And certainly, you guys have done a lot to make this podcast what it is. So we appreciate you.
No,
Yeah,
well,
of
thank
course.
you. I mean, I think it goes unsaid, but thanks, thanks again for allowing, me to be part of it. When I had contacted you, I think it was after I saw Joel did one, and I was like, oh,
You're like,
they're,
"Wait, hold on.
yeah, they're allowing some other people to do it, because I was thinking of, well, first, the biggest throw for me was when you read out one of my things on the air. I think I had tweeted to you guys
Right.
my top 10 something, and then I was like, wait a minute, I actually could maybe be, and then to do 4 or 5 of them, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So thanks definitely to you guys.
I am a pioneer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so of course, I mean, none of it could be possible without the listeners, and so
Yep.
definitely thankful
Of course.
for each and every one that has faithfully been listening, and so then we've had a lot of them that started listening since LAD came out, but I know several of them have gone back to listen to the beginning from when we started, and so definitely thankful for all of that, and so I'm very grateful. I'm thankful for Mark kind of picking up the slack for me a few times there when I had some things that got busy, and
Yeah.
of course then Joel and
I'm not gonna give
Joel
Mark any
and Jack
credit.
helping to fill in, and so I mean Joel
Yeah.
Joel was glad when I got back so that his back can get a break.
That's right.
So
My back was really starting to hurt. I went to the
That's
chiropractor and everything.
That's right.
yeah.
Because
So anyway-
Josh, when you're gone, he has to carry you and me. So it's just terrible.
I know my back, I'm starting to get back cramps and everything like that. They call it severocripitis.
All right. Well,
Hashtag.
Joel, if that is
get
not a
the offending.
hashtag in your Twitter profile, I'm going to be very disappointed. Next to bring back
I'm
Tony and then
going to get severocripitis. I'm going to get that trendy.
All right. Well, we can
All right,
continue
Thanks,
continue
Josh.
Mark bashing later, and we'll continue it on Twitter #bashmark. But anyway, so go to 24faithful.com and bookmark that. Sign up for the newsletter so you can keep in touch with what's going to be coming down the road, and so. We'll be posting stuff still on the 24podcast.com as well, but we're going to be focusing a lot more on building up some things there on the new website. And so definitely go there. Love to hear your feedback on what you think as far as direction that we can be able to go. And then, of course, we want to stay in touch with the news of 24 as it comes out as well. So we have a couple ideas of when we're going to come back and have some more episodes, but if there are some things that come up in between, we may show up to do a quick little episode and bring you guys up to date with things that are going on. So with that, definitely want to say thank you, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, guys.